All right, so welcome to the, I want to say, third video of my Megaminx beginner's method tutorial, and this one is going to cover S2L. So when you're solving S2L, it's going to compose of the second two layers. So it's going to be something like this. Kind of looks like 2.5 layers, 3 layers, but really just don't think about it too much. It's not too important. You just have to learn how to look at the puzzle. So I'm going to be explaining something that may take some getting used to. But with a little practice, it'll make a lot of sense. So you'll notice that in Megaminx, we don't do a lot of B turns, especially in the beginner's method. That's something you might consider in more advanced stages of Megaminx, but for now, you don't have to think about it too much. So that's going to be really important. So what I want you to do is from one of these F2L faces, you're going to pick a face. And for me, I'm going to go ahead and pick light blue. So when you pick that face, you always want to do this face first. This is something that Megaminx solvers refer to as a fixed order. So we always start from the same color and end on the same color. So what I want you to do is I actually want you to make this face the bottom layer. So whichever face you're working on is going to turn into your bottom layer. So your cross is here, and then your new face is going to be here. So your cross is at the very back, and you shouldn't actually disturb it if you're not actively trying to. And now you're going to see that you can solve it just like a star. It's basically 60% of this face is done. So I'm going to go ahead and find the light blue and orange piece, which is right here. And I want to solve it down here. If you remember from the F2L video, it can be either aligned already with the orange aligned, or it could be checkerboarded. If it's checkerboarded, you bring it to the right, bring it to the left, and then turn that side that you brought it to, and then you should be able to solve it easily. So this one is fairly straightforward. If I bring it to the left, and I turn the left side, and notice how my thumb is always on the bottom. This thumb right here on the bottom is going to indicate where the star that I'm working on is. If I bring it to the left, all I have to do is turn the left face and bring it down, and it's solved. However, that's too easy, and you're not going to usually encounter a lot of these cases. What you want to do is learn how to do the harder cases so it's not too difficult. So instead, I'm going to bring it to the right, and you can see how in the right there's a lot of stuff here that's already solved. That's not really too much of a concern. What you want to do is you're going to go ahead and do what you normally do for a star. Don't be too concerned about it. So you solve the star just like you did on the previous F2L video. And then everything here is moved away, but all you have to do is move it back after this piece is solved. All right, that's fairly simple. Now I'm going to look for the gray light blue star piece, which is here. So it's kind of stuck in between two solved pieces, but if you recall from the F2L video, all you have to do is bring it to either this layer or this layer and then turn it away. So I'm going to bring it over here. I'm going to bring it up, and then this piece will not move if I turn away this side. Now that it's turned away, I'm going to bring back this piece to make sure it's still solved. So my thumb is still down here if you're paying attention. Now the piece is over here, and I'm going to solve it like normal. So this is not aligned, so I'm going to go ahead and move it to the left or the right, and then you should be very familiar with how to solve this piece now. So I bring it down, and now that this piece is solved, I'm going to move this piece back. One more time. So with the piece checkerboarded, I'm going to bring it to the left side this time. And now I turn it down, and you can see how it's aligned. And I solved a piece like so. If I turn it to the right, I'm going to bring it down, and it's aligned. Solve it, and then bring this piece back because it's been solved. So you have to be aware of which pieces are solved. Now that the star, if you can see it, is done, so we're basically doing a second star. So keep this on the bottom, and keep in mind that this part is solved, and all the way back here is solved. And you just solve this corner, this edge, this corner, this edge, this corner, this edge, just like S2L. So I'm going to do corners first. So this corner is supposed to go down here, so I'm going to bring it to this slot. If you recall the algorithm from the S2L video, R, U, R prime, U prime. Just repeat that until the corner is solved. Okay, now we're going to look for these last two corners. So I'm going to look for light blue. This one right here, the right slot is here, so it's already in the correct place. And I'm going to execute the algorithm. Notice how my star is always on the bottom, just like in the S2L stage. And with executing these algorithms, it shouldn't affect the pieces that are already solved. So this corner is supposed to go here, so I'm going to move this corner right on top of it and execute the same algorithm. And then I'm going to solve the edge just like I would normally. So this edge is supposed to go here, so I'm going to place it either here or here, depending on if it's good or if it's bad. So I'm going to put it on the good side because it's aligned, and then execute the algorithm from the S2L video. U, R, U prime, R prime, U prime, F, U, F. All right, now I'm going to solve the next piece. This one is supposed to go down here, so I'm going to bring it either here or here. This one is bad, so I'm not going to use this side. I'm going to use this side. And it's going to the left, so I'm going to use the lefty algorithm. U prime, L prime, U, L, U, F, U prime, F prime. And now just a little bit of looking for pieces knowledge. I can't find this edge, so if you keep an eye on what pieces are solved, you can look here, you can look here, and you can look here, and you can look here. Everything else is already solved. So I'm just going to make sure that with the star still on bottom, I'm going to rotate until I reach the solve side and I can't find it. I rotate this way to a solve side and I still can't find it. The other place to look is the new top layer. And I found it. It's right here. So I'm going to bring it to the relative area I need it to go. If you recognize this this method of moving pieces around, it's on the top layer, the new top layer, and then I'm going to bring it to this area. Now I can solve it just like normal. Now it's either here or here. This is the good side and it's going left, so I'm going to use the lefty algorithm. If you pay attention, you'll see that this part is solved, but if you execute the algorithm, it shouldn't affect the rest of the puzzle. So the star on bottom, this is going left. I'm going to do L prime, U, L, U, F, U prime, F prime. And now this part of S2L is solved. And now we're going to go back to what has already been solved. So we're going to go see S2L's right here. Your S2L star, so this is green, and I picked blue to do first. So now if you look at it like this, blue S2L is solved. Now you don't want to think about it too much. Now you're going to go back to green, and you're going to go either direction. You're going to go either from light blue, you're going to go left, or you're going to go right. It doesn't matter. For me, I like to go right. So I'm going to solve purple next. So purple is going to be my new star. So I'm going to hold it where purple's on bottom, and I have a new top layer. I'm going to look for the purple and yellow piece to solve the star. After looking, I see it's on the top layer, so that makes it even easier. I'm going to bring it to the relative place it needs to be, and then I'm going to try and solve this purple. So this purple, just like a normal cross piece, I could bring it left and then align. That one's really easy. Or if you want to get used to the complicated way of doing it, you can bring it to the right because it's on top of solved pieces. Bring it down, and then you see how everything's out of place. But after you solve the purple, you just bring everything that you turned back, and it should keep everything solved, and your new star is solved too. So instead of 3 corners and 3 edges, you only have 2 corners and 2 edges. So your second and third stars shouldn't take as long. So I'm just going to solve it very simply, since all the methods should be the same. Keep your star on the bottom. So I'm going to look for this corner, yellow, white, purple, and I see it's right here. So I'm going to bring it over here, okay, without disrupting everything else. Keep in mind that more and more pieces are solved, so you're going to be able to turn less and less sides. So this is just basically through trial and error. So I'm going to bring it right on top and then execute the corner algorithm. And now it's solved. And I'm going to find this corner right here. And I see it's right up here. So I'm going to bring it over and bring it to this slot. And I'm going to execute the algorithm right-handed side. All right. And now you can see that this purple corners are solved. And I'm going to solve the edges, these 2 edges next. Now, since there's more and more pieces solved, there's less and less places that the unsolved pieces can be. So it's much easier to find them. So if you execute everything according to the algorithms and previous methods I've shown you in the previous videos, you shouldn't be breaking anything else apart. So I'm going to go ahead and solve this edge, and I see it's right here. So I'm going to put it either here or here, and you can see this is bad because it's not aligned. It's checkerboard. So I'm going to bring it to this side, and it's aligned. So from here, I see it's going right, and I execute the algorithm, the edge algorithm. U, R, U prime, R prime, U prime, F prime, U, F, and it's solved. Everything else is undisturbed. Right here, same thing. I see the edge is supposed to go here, and it's right here. So I could put it on this side or this side. I don't want it here because it's checkerboard, so it's bad. So I'm going to bring it to this side. So I'm again going to bring it down to the right. So I'm going to execute the algorithm one more time. Keep in mind, the star is always on the bottom. All right, so now we finished purple. You can see that purple is actually faster than the light blue. And now we're going to do the same thing one more time. So I'm going to go back to my first star, which was dark green. And now I did light blue, I did purple, and my next step is going to be white. So, like so, I'm going to bring white down to the bottom, and I have a new bottom and I have a new top. All right, so I'm going to solve it like so. I see that this corner, this edge needs to go down here, but it's not flipped. So I'm going to take it out, and now I'm going to solve this star just like any other star. So I'm going to put it here, or I'm going to put it here, and then just again, I'm going to put it here so that you can see that I'm able to solve this without disturbing the rest of the pieces, because this way is fairly easy to solve because it's already aligned. So here, I'm just going to bring it to the right, bring it down, solve it, and bring these pieces back up. So white's on bottom still. Now, just like before, I'm going to solve the corners. So I'm just going to do this pretty quickly since it should make a lot of sense. As you can see, the new top layer is actually sort of solved now. So you have one less side to turn. You cannot turn this side freely. So just keep that in mind. You're turning just this side and just this side because none of those are solved. So I'm going to find this corner. It's supposed to go down here. So I'm going to bring it all the way